Imagine this. You're at a lively dinner party. Laughter filling the air, glasses clinking, and then she walks in. The energy shifts. Some women light up a room with warmth and grace, like a sunrise breaking through a stormy sky. Others? Well, let's just say the room feels brighter the moment they leave. Have you ever met someone who seems to carry chaos with them, leaving you drained, confused, or questioning your own judgment? If you've nodded along, this video is for you. Today, we're diving deep into 6 unmistakable signs of a toxic woman, traits you can't afford to ignore if you want to protect your peace, your energy, and your happiness. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll have the clarity to spot these red flags from a mile away and the wisdom to act on them. Ready? Let's get started. This isn't about pointing fingers or casting blame. It's about wisdom. It's about knowing who deserves a seat at your table, and who's just there to steal the bread. As the great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." But let me add a twist. It also depends on the company you keep. Life's too short to waste on people who drain your soul, make you second-guess yourself, or leave you feeling like you're walking on eggshells. So, grab a coffee, settle in, and let's uncover these 6 signs together. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single one. Sign number 1. She's always the victim. Picture this. You're sitting across from her at a cozy cafe. The smell of fresh coffee in the air, and she's telling you a story. It's gripping, heart-wrenching, even. She's been wronged, again. Maybe it's her boss who's jealous of her talent, her lifelong friend who betrayed her, or her ex who never understood her. At first, you feel a pang of sympathy. Her eyes glisten as she paints a vivid picture of a world that's been unfairly cruel to her. You might even feel a protective urge, thinking, maybe I'm the one who can finally treat her right. Sound familiar? That's the hook, my friend, and it's a powerful one. But here's the truth. A woman who's always the victim isn't just unlucky, she's crafting a narrative. And if you're not paying close attention, you'll get swept up in it. I knew a guy named Tom, a solid, kind-hearted man who'd been through a rough divorce. He met a woman who seemed like a breath of fresh air. She was open, vulnerable, and shared stories of how life had dealt her one bad hand after another. Her ex was a liar. Her boss held her back because she was too strong, and even her family always sided with her sister growing up. Tom admired her resilience. He thought, she's been through so much, and yet she's still standing. But months into their relationship, the cracks started to show. The stories never stopped. Every coworker was toxic. Every job ended unfairly. Every friend eventually betrayed her. Tom found himself trapped in a cycle. He was either her hero, constantly reassuring her that she was right, or the villain when he dared to disagree. One time, he gently suggested she might have played a small role in a conflict with a friend. The response? A tearful meltdown, accusations of not being on her side, and a week of cold silence. Sound exhausting? It was. Here's the danger. A woman who clings to victimhood isn't just telling stories, she's wielding control. She rewrites every situation to cast herself as the wronged party. And if you get too close, you'll become the next chapter in her saga of suffering. You'll be the one who let her down, the one who never really got her. It's a cycle that drains your energy, your patience, and, if you're not careful, your peace of mind. So, what's the Stoic approach here? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. A woman who's always the victim surrenders that power. She lets life's circumstances dictate her emotions and expects everyone else to carry the weight of her pain. Your job isn't to fix her or save her, it's to protect your own peace. Offer compassion, sure, but keep your boundaries firm. If the stories never change, if every conflict ends with her as the martyr, it's time to step back, quietly, firmly, because peace, true peace, is found within, not in trying to rescue someone who refuses to heal. Why this matters? Why am I telling you this? Because your time, your energy, and your mental clarity are precious. Every moment you spend tangled in someone else's chaos is a moment you could have spent building a life of purpose, joy, and connection. The women you choose to let into your life, whether as friends, partners, or even colleagues, shape your world more than you might realize. A toxic woman doesn't just take your time, she chips away at your confidence, your focus, and your ability to trust your own judgment. And that's why spotting these signs early isn't just smart, it's essential. Let's pause for a second. Have you ever felt like you're constantly pouring energy into someone, only to feel emptier than before? That's what we're talking about here. These signs aren't about labeling someone as bad or good. They're about recognizing patterns that harm you and learning to protect yourself with wisdom, not emotion. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions, our thoughts, our boundaries. So, as we move through the next 5 signs, keep that in mind. This isn't about judgment, it's about empowerment. We've only covered the first sign. But trust me, the others are just as critical. From manipulative charm to chronic dishonesty, the next 5 traits will give you the tools to spot trouble before it derails your life. Want to know what they are? Keep watching, because we're just getting started. I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll walk away with a sharper mind, a stronger sense of self, and the confidence to choose the people who truly deserve your time. Before we dive into sign number 2, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our weekly wisdom drops. If Tom's story hit home for you, drop a comment below. Have you ever dealt with someone who's always the victim? How did you handle it? Let's build this community of men who value clarity, strength, and peace. Alright, let's keep going. Sign number 2 is coming up next. And it's a game changer. We just talked about the woman who's always the victim, pulling you into her endless cycle of complaints and chaos. But what happens when that chaos isn't just a story, it's a performance? Welcome back, gentlemen. Today, we're diving into signs 2 and 3 of toxic women you cannot afford to ignore. These are the traits that creep into your life, steal your peace, and leave you questioning your own sanity. Let's jump into sign number 2. And trust me, you'll feel this one in your gut before you see it with your eyes. Sign number 2. She's addicted to drama. Imagine a quiet evening at home. The kind where you're finally unwinding. Maybe sipping a drink, scrolling through your phone, or just enjoying the rare calm. Then she walks in, and it's like someone flipped a switch. Suddenly, the air feels electric, not in a good way. She's upset. Maybe you didn't text back fast enough, or you seemed distant during dinner. Before you know it, a small moment spirals into a full-blown argument, and you're left apologizing for something you don't even understand. Sound familiar? That's the second sign of a toxic woman. She's addicted to drama. This isn't about the occasional emotional moment we all have. No, this is a woman whose life is a never-ending soap opera, and she's the star, director, and scriptwriter all at once. If things get too calm, too stable, it's like she gets restless. Peace bores her, so she lights a match and watches it burn, just to feel something. And you're dragged into the flames. One day, it's a fight over a misunderstood comment. The next, it's a tearful outburst about how no one gets her. You spend hours trying to fix it, to calm her down, only to realize she's thriving in the chaos. It's exhausting, isn't it? Here's the kicker. Drama isn't just her habit, it's her comfort zone. It gives her control, keeping her at the center of attention while everyone else scrambles to keep up. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "An angry man opens his mouth and shuts his eyes." A drama-addicted woman isn't chasing truth or resolution, she's chasing the rush of emotion. The power of stirring up yours. And if you're the closest person, you're her stagehand, whether you signed up for it or not. Over time, you'll feel it, the constant tension, the eggshells under your feet, the erosion of your inner calm. That's the real danger. When a man loses his stillness, he loses his strength. So, what's the move? Step back, not always physically, but emotionally. Let her waves crash without diving in to save her. As Epictetus taught, we can't control others, only how we respond. Sometimes, the wisest response is silence, distance, refusing to play a role in her script. You're not here to be an actor in her chaos. You're here to stay grounded, steady, and free. Sign number 3. She controls through guilt. Now, let's talk about a weapon so subtle, it's almost invisible: guilt. Ever felt that heavy knot in your chest? Like you've let someone down even when you're not sure why? That's what we're unpacking next. Studies show guilt lights up the same brain regions as physical pain, it's that powerful. And some women wield it like a master puppeteer. The third sign of a toxic woman? She controls through guilt. At first, it seems innocent. Maybe she gets quiet when you cancel dinner to meet a work deadline. Or she sighs heavily when you want a night to yourself. You think, she's just sensitive, she needs reassurance. So, you give it, you apologize, adjust your plans, maybe even feel bad for prioritizing yourself. But here's the trap. Those little moments aren't accidents. They're calculated. She's pulling strings, making you second-guess your choices, your boundaries, your needs. Before long, you're bending over backward to avoid that sinking feeling in your gut. This isn't about her being bad, it's about a pattern. Guilt is her tool to keep you in line, to make sure her needs always come first. And the worst part? You might not even realize it's happening until you're drained, resentful, and wondering how you lost your sense of self. So, how do you break free? Recognize it, name it. When that guilt hits, pause and ask, is this mine to carry? Set boundaries, stick to them, and don't let her emotions dictate your choices. Stoicism reminds us, your peace is your power. Guard it fiercely. We're only halfway through, and the next 3 signs are just as crucial. Want to know what they are? Stick around, because this wisdom could save you from years of chaos. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Have you ever dealt with a drama queen or a guilt tripper? How did you handle it? Let's keep this conversation going. We just unpacked how a toxic woman can wield drama and guilt like weapons, pulling you into her chaos and making you question your own choices. But what happens when her influence goes deeper, chipping away at your freedom and your sense of self? Welcome back, gentlemen. We're diving into signs 3 and 4 of toxic women you cannot ignore. These are the traits that don't just disrupt your day, they threaten your peace and your purpose. Picture this. You're sitting across from her, trying to explain why you need a weekend to focus on work or catch up with an old friend. Her face changes. That subtle, disappointed look creeps in, the one that says, I thought you were different. I thought I mattered. She doesn't need to speak. That sigh, that silence, it's louder than any argument. Suddenly, you're canceling plans, rearranging your life, all to avoid that sinking feeling in your chest. Sound familiar? This is the heart of sign 3. She controls through guilt. The worst part? You don't even see it happening until you're already compromising your own boundaries. You're not making choices based on reason or your values anymore, you're reacting. Scrambling to dodge that heavy weight of guilt. Every time you prioritize yourself, she makes you feel like you're letting her down. It's not overt, it's a quiet withdrawal of affection, a subtle shift in her mood, or an unspoken expectation you can never quite meet. Before long, you're explaining your every decision, playing a role she's scripted for you. You're no longer the hero of your own story, you're the villain in hers. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus nailed it when he said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Guilt is the opposite of freedom. It clouds your judgment, traps you in a cycle of appeasement, and pulls you away from your purpose. So, how do you break free? You set boundaries, clear, steady, unshakable. You act from reason, not fear. Offer what aligns with who you are, not because you're dodging her disappointment. When she tries to tug those guilt strings, stay calm, stay resolved. A man who knows his values and stands firm is untouchable. Your freedom? That's something no amount of guilt can take unless you hand it over. Sign number 4. She lacks empathy. Now, let's talk about a sign that hits hardest when life gets real. Imagine you're going through a rough patch, maybe a family loss, a health scare, or a career setback. The world feels heavy, and you need someone in your corner. That's when you see it. She lacks empathy. Sign number 4 is a deal breaker. Because life will throw curveballs, and you'll learn fast who's truly there for you. At first, it's subtle. You mention you're exhausted after a brutal week, and she barely looks up from her phone before pivoting to her own drama, something trivial, like a coworker's slight or a bad coffee order. Or maybe you open up about something personal, something that took courage to share, and she brushes it off like it's just another Tuesday. There's a distance in her response, a coldness you can't unfeel. It's not just that she doesn't get it, she doesn't want to. I knew a man, a good guy, Who dated a woman after losing his wife? At first, she seemed supportive, all warm words and gentle smiles. But when his grief hit hard, those quiet, heavy moments where he just needed someone to sit with him, she couldn't handle it. She'd shift uncomfortably, toss out shallow platitudes, then steer the conversation back to her plans, her problems, her life. He realized he was lonelier with her than alone. Why? Because empathy isn't just about showing up, it's about feeling with someone. And she didn't have it. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. You can't force someone to care, but you can choose who gets your time, your trust, your heart. A woman without empathy isn't just a red flag. She's a warning sign of a future where you'll face life's storms alone. Even when she's standing right there. We just explored how a lack of empathy can leave you feeling alone. Even when someone's sitting right beside you. But what happens when someone's values are so misaligned that they can't see you, only what you can show off? Welcome back, gentlemen. We're diving into signs 4 and 5 of toxic women you cannot ignore. These traits don't just test your patience, they threaten the very core of who you are. Imagine pouring your heart out after a tough day. Maybe you lost a deal at work or got bad news from family. You're looking for a moment of connection, someone to just be there. But instead, she's distracted, flipping through her phone, barely acknowledging your words before pivoting to her own complaints. That sting you feel? It's not just disappointment, it's the absence of empathy. We left off with this critical sign. She lacks empathy. And when life gets real, that's when it hurts the most. A woman without empathy might show up physically, but her heart's not in it. You'll see it in the small moments. A half-hearted nod when you share your struggles. Or a quick change of subject when you need her to listen. It's like talking to a mirror that only reflects her own world. I knew a man who, after losing his wife, thought he'd found someone new to lean on. But when his grief surfaced, raw and heavy, she couldn't handle it. She'd fidget, offer empty words like, "It'll be okay," then steer the conversation to her weekend plans. He felt more isolated with her than alone. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Here's my take. Don't waste time hoping someone will grow empathy. It's not something you can teach or beg for, it's either there or it's not. An empathetic partner doesn't need to fix you. Her quiet presence, her steady gaze, says, you're not alone. But a woman who lacks it, you'll feel miles apart, even sitting side by side. Stoicism teaches us to accept reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. If she can't meet you with compassion when life gets heavy, she won't be there for the storms ahead. The solution? Choose differently. Walk away, not with anger, but with clarity. Life's too short to share it with someone who hears you but doesn't feel you. Sign number 5. She's obsessed with superficial things. Now, let's talk about a trap that's easy to fall into. Picture a woman who's always chasing the spotlight. Her life revolves around how things look. The 5th sign? She's obsessed with superficial things. This isn't about enjoying nice things, we all do. It's about a woman who measures her worth, and yours, by appearances, the designer bag, the Instagram likes, the status of her address. Her world is a stage, and she's obsessed with the props. At first, it might seem harmless. Who doesn't like a little glamour? But dig deeper, and you'll see it's not about the things, it's about what they mean to her. Status, approval, being seen. She judges herself by what she can flaunt. And worse, she judges you by what you can provide. Suddenly, you're in a competition you didn't sign up for. Your reliable car? Not good enough if her friend's boyfriend drives a Bentley. Your solid job? Irrelevant unless it's flashing 6 figures. It's exhausting, isn't it? No matter what you bring, it's never enough, because she's always eyeing the next rung on the ladder. The Stoics saw through this 2,000 years ago. Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. A woman obsessed with superficiality is never content. She chases a high that fades fast, leaving her empty and wanting more. It's like pouring water into a cracked jar, it never holds. And if you tie yourself to her, you're dragged into that endless chase. Marcus Aurelius called externals things indifferent. They don't define your worth. Character does, virtue does, but a woman fixated on the surface will never see that in you. Seneca put it best. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor. She's the poorest kind of companion, because contentment, and the peace it brings, is always out of her reach. Picture yourself at a fancy dinner, surrounded by clinking glasses and polished smiles. She's across from you, eyes scanning the room, not for connection, but for validation. The fifth sign. She's obsessed with superficial things. Isn't about liking nice things. It's about a woman whose entire world revolves around appearances. The designer shoes, the perfect Instagram post, the envy of strangers. These are her currency. And you're judged by what you can add to her highlight reel. Ever felt like you're auditioning for a role you didn't want? That's the trap. This isn't harmless. It's a mindset that values status over substance, applause over authenticity. No matter what you bring, a steady job, a loyal heart, it's never enough. Because she's always chasing the next shiny thing. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. You pour in effort, time, maybe even money, but it leaks out, leaving her unsatisfied and you exhausted. The Stoics saw through this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." A woman caught in this cycle is never content. Her highs are fleeting, followed by an emptiness that demands more. Marcus Aurelius called externals things indifferent. They don't define your worth. Your character does. Your principles do. But she'll never see that, no matter how deeply you live by it. Seneca put it perfectly. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor. A woman obsessed with the surface is the poorest kind of companion. Because peace, the kind a Stoic man guards above all, eludes her. The solution? Walk away, not out of spite, but wisdom. Your energy, your dignity, your peace are too precious to waste on a shallow chase. Choose a life rooted in what matters. Sign number 6. She can't admit she's wrong. Now, let's talk about a sign that turns small disagreements into battles. Imagine a simple argument. Maybe you're discussing plans, and you point out a mistake she made. You're calm, reasonable, even bring facts to the table. But instead of a discussion, it's war. The sixth sign? She can't admit she's wrong. Ever. She'll twist the story, dodge the point, or suddenly make it about how you've hurt her. The original issue? Buried under an avalanche of deflection. At first, you might think it's just pride or a bad day. But it's a pattern. She defends every misstep, a harsh word, a bad call, like her life depends on it. Why? Because to her, being wrong feels like being weak. And weakness is unthinkable. Psychologically, this comes from a fragile sense of self. Admitting fault feels like a threat. So she fights to stay right at all costs. But here's the cost: growth, trust, connection. A person who can't own a mistake can't learn. And someone who can learn can't grow. Marcus Aurelius said, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm wrong. I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after." That's wisdom, embracing correction as growth, not defeat. But a woman who rejects this? She traps you in a cycle where you're always the one bending, explaining, carrying the weight of reason. It's exhausting. It's lonely. A relationship like this isn't partnership, it's competition. And the irony? By refusing to say, "I was wrong," she walls herself off from truth, growth, and love. Seneca warned, only time can heal what reason cannot. But when reason's never allowed a seat at the table, time only deepens the divide. The solution? Choose humility, in yourself and in your partner. Seek someone who sees saying, "I was wrong," as strength, not weakness. Life's too short to keep score. That's all 6 signs. Gentlemen, these aren't just warnings, they're tools to protect your peace and purpose. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Have you ever dealt with someone who couldn't admit fault? How did you handle it? Let's build this community of men who value clarity and